Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer! Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things.
What up, Boring Reviews? Jodi here.
Nick here.
And today we're finally able to do another Trevor Noah. Woo!
Got it in there.
Yeah, so we can't do the comedic reactions, but we're doing the Daily Show. So growing up in South Africa.
And this is one that was heavily requested. It's a longer video, but we don't mind because the requests are there and we work off of requests. This is, again, the between the scenes, like she said, from the Daily Show. We're checking this out. We just posted one last week. Check that one out. And we did one not too long ago about the French ambassador. Check that out if you're liking these reactions. If you do like these reactions, please don't forget to
like, and then subscribe, and then hit that notification bell so you're aware of our next upload of videos.
ding ding. And let's not waste any time. Let's see what this is all about.
I was going to see what it's about, but you can see what it's about.
All right, we'll see what it's about. About.
You know, we're watching this story about the Toy Hall of Fame, which is in Rochester. And we're seeing like all the toys that are being
Yeah,
inducted.
that was
So
a
everyone in
thing.
the office starts talking about their favorite toys growing up, right? So some people are like,
Oh,
oh,
I
yeah,
love
no,
this.
for me it was Chutes and Ladders, and for me it was the sled, and for me it was this, was that. And then the people are like, what was your
Polly Pocket.
favorite toy growing up? And I was like, genuinely, my favorite toy growing up was a brick, right? Which sounds crazy. But,
Wow.
Spinny, why do you walk away like I'm a crazy... Like you literally walk away like I'm saying the wildest thing. No, because so what happened was, no, we had, when we were growing up, like I'd live at my grand's house in Soweto, and then what would happen is a lot of kids didn't have toys, but it wasn't like a sad thing, like, oh, I don't have toys. It was just like we play with whatever we find. And so the most popular thing little boys would play with was bricks, and your brick was, you play with it like a toy car. So you'd like walk around the neighborhood searching for the best brick, right? Because the game you would play, and we didn't put wheels on anything. Like someone asked me that in the office, like, you put wheels on it? No, there's no wheels. Where are we gonna find wheels? If we have wheels, we wouldn't have these problems. So we just took bricks. So you would find bricks, and then the game you'd play is you'd like drive around in the dirt with your brick car, and then you would smash into the other boys' bricks. And then if your brick was
And
the
not
last
get your
brick
fingers.
standing, you won the game. So like all of us, it was like a mission. You're like, man, I gotta
Okay.
find bricks. Like you just like walk around the whole day just like searching for bricks. And there was this one
can
brick
see it.
that we had
Yeah.
called a face brick, right? Which is basically like a really beautiful brick that you can, you know, bricks that you don't plaster over. You can just have that as the face of your house. That's what we call the face brick, right? And so that was like the dream brick. It was the most expensive brick though. Like you could find everyone with like the gray bricks and like the dark black bricks and like all those, but those bricks break. You come with a face brick, someone would like, everyone would see you, like you'd pitch up, you'd be like a pimp rolling up in a Rolls Royce Phantom. Like genuinely, I remember like one day I found the face brick, and like I got there with like all the other kids were like, meh, mom, meh, meh, and I like got there like all swagged. And then like, oh, Trevor, are you playing? Are you playing? And then I was like, yeah, and I pulled my brick out from behind my back. And they're like, oh, face brick, face brick. And then it's like, yeah, we are there, face brick, and it's like, let's go. And then you drive, and then like everyone rams in, and I'll be like, you guys ram me first. I'll just chill. And everyone tries to ram your brick, and because the face brick, it's like compact, it doesn't crack, and like everyone's bricks crack in half. People are devastated. Like you see like kids smash their brick, and the brick cracks dead in the middle. And they're like, ah, brick, missed. It's like a big thing. And then you like play, and you take the brick. And it was such a popular thing that you had to be careful if you lived in the townships, because kids would steal bricks from outside your house if you were doing renovations. So if you weren't careful, you would have like all your bricks outside because you're like, oh, I'm gonna build a wall. And then like the next day you would come there and you'd be like, where the fuck are my bricks? And like all the bricks are gone. And then it's just like kids driving around like, It's like, are those my bricks? I don't know what you're talking about, man. This is my favorite toy. It just makes you realize like you can just have fun with anything, man. It's like, that's genuinely my favorite. Even now when I see bricks, I get like I said to friends, that's the one thing I don't like about living in New York. You don't see bricks often, like just loose bricks hanging around. You take that for granted. I walk around, I'm like, man, no bricks, no bricks, no bricks, no bricks. And if I see a brick, there's a thing in me still till this day that wants to take the brick.
God, yeah.
And I have to stop myself and be like, you're the host of the Daily Show. You can buy all the bricks you want. And it's like, yeah, but take that brick, Trevor. Come on, you know you want to. And I always think, imagine if TMZ caught me on camera. And it's like, Trevor Noah spotted stealing a brick. And then I'd be trying to explain it. No, it's a car. No, it's not. Is Trevor Noah on drugs? No, wait. It's so strong. What were you doing, Trevor? I was going to build my own wall.
You keep telling him to stay in his
That's what
spot.
Guys, you should let Donald Trump build the wall and then just bring like all the South African kids overnight. They'll just like take
Not so fast.
So in my grandmother's house, we didn't have a tap in the house. We had one tap shared amongst 4 houses. And that seemed like cool compared to my cousins because in the villages, they had one tap which was like a mile away. So I'd go to my cousins to visit them for the holidays. And then I would like, my cousin would wake me up at like 5 a.m. I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, we gotta go get water. And I'm like, what? And then you get the wheelbarrow and then you go. And it's fun when you're on the way there because you're like, this is fun. You've got your wheelbarrow, you're rolling. And then you fill them, you forget that you have to fill them up with water. It's these giant, giant, giant drums of water. And then you bring them back and you're like, fuck. Like the whole time you're just like, I don't need water. I don't need water. And like one day, because my cousin was shredded,
so
like
tough.
just because of that. Every single day was him just lifting a barrel. Which was like 400 pounds on a wheelbarrow, just pushing that every single day.
Jeez.
And then one day I remember I was like, I can do this. And I took it and then I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then all the water gone. Just like all of it. Yeah, and then I was like, well, you shouldn't have let me take the wheelbarrow. I just pulled the bench past and I was like, that was your bad. Did I know my life would turn out like this since I was a kid? Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was like 4 years old and then there was like this little kid who like pushed me to the ground and then I was like, ha, one day I'm gonna be host of the Daily Show. No, I get what you're saying and I'm joking obviously, I'm being facetious. No, I had no clue. Nor did I wish for that, I'll be honest with you. I still joke with my mom about that till this day. I go, I did not know where life would take me or how life would end up. All I knew is that I wanted to be able to afford to buy as much food as I wanted to buy, like at any time. That was like the big thing in my life. Because like when you don't have money in a family, like the food decision is the biggest decision you can make. So like, let me put it this way. We would go out for like takeout maybe once a month if we were lucky. And I remember the pressure that I was under because you get the menu and then they'd be like, do you want a burger or do you want pizza or? And I was just like, don't mess this up, don't mess this up. It was such a big decision. And I remember one day I said to my mom, I was like, one day I'm gonna be rich enough to buy 2. And then my mom could have been like, shut up kid, but she was like, yeah, you will be rich enough. Yeah. And I was like, and I'll buy dessert. She's like, you go buy all the dessert. All of the dessert. And so then now my mom was like, did you buy the dessert? Did you buy the dessert? And then she pointed at my tummy, she's like, looks like you bought the dessert. Like, so my mom, she would let me watch like a sex scene in a movie. She would be like, I don't care about that. But if kids were playing with food, she'd make me turn the movie off. So whenever there's like, I used to watch those high school movies, those American movies, and then you know there'd always be a food fight in the cafeteria. Then my mom would be like, turn it off, turn it off. Turn it off. And then I'll be like, what do you mean? She's like, why are they wasting food? Then I was like, it's a movie. She's like, but it's real food. It's real food.
My mom always said too.
It's real food. How can you waste food like that? And then I was like
You
look,
can
it's like
watch
my mom
it, but
was
she
going,
couldn't
you know,
stand it.
like parents would go, their children starving. My mom was like, we are starving in Africa. We're starving. Why are they wasting food? The first time I remember hearing a joke as a child was actually, I was with my grandfather and we were at a protest in the streets in South Africa. And I don't know what the protest was for. I'm assuming it was anti-apartheid or whatever, but I was very young and I was with my grandfather and we were marching through the streets and a policeman came by on a horse. And like policemen on horses is like, like no one is comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like just generally as black people, we're never like, yay, yay, he's gonna do the thing. No, you were terrified, policeman on the horse. And this guy was like trying to move the crowd along, and he's like, move, bloody hell, move. And he got to my grandfather, and then my grandfather turned to him, and the guy looked at him, he's like, hey, why aren't you moving? And my grandfather turned to him and he said, Master, can I ask you a question? And this guy was like, what did you say? He said, can I ask you a question, master? And he was like, and then he asked him a question, and to give you the context, that weekend, the previous weekend, there was our version of the Kentucky Derby took place. And then the winning horse was celebrated, and the president went and gave a kiss to the horse that won. A kiss, and it was like on the front page of the newspaper, the president kissing the horse. And so that's the context. So my grandfather turns to the cop and he's like, can I ask you a question? And the cop is like, what do you want? And he says, Master, why is it that your president can kiss a horse, but he won't kiss my sister. And like you could see the cop was just like, he's like, what? And he's like, what? I don't know. And I was like, and then my grandfather turned to him and he's like, because you haven't seen my sister. And I'll never forget the policeman's face.
Sorry,
like he
Auntie.
burst into tears, laughed, because he was like, what? And then he just started laughing, and my grandfather was laughing. And I'd never seen, two things. I had never seen like a policeman laughing with black people ever before. It was my first time seeing that. And it was just my first time seeing like how a joke could diffuse tension, how, you know what I mean? And then I just remember growing up, I was like, oh, I want to do that thing. I want to do that thing more.
That's so
diapers.
awesome.
I hate changing diapers.
That is so cool.
I don't have kids.
Can't we all?
Well, I just hate changing diapers. I have two younger brothers, so
Did
I
our
changed their
time.
diapers when I was growing up. And then at some point with my youngest brother, who's 20 years younger than me, I was just like, you're gonna keep shitting, so just don't wear pants. And I was like, it's easier to poop or scoop this person than it is. Like, so then my little brother would just come, I'd teach him. The thing was he'd just come running up to me and then he'd be like, Trevor, poo poo. And then I'd be like, all right, and then we just run outside and then I'd make him shit in the garden. Like I would like fold him. I'd hold his legs and his body, and then like I'd hold him like this, and then he'd be like a little turtle in my hands. And then I would hold him, and then he would shit, and then he'd be like, doo-doos, doo-doos. And I'd be like, finished. Then he's like, doo-doos. Then I'm like, all right, cool. And I'd shake him a little bit. And then I'd take him. Yeah, and then I'd take him and he'd stand and then I would spray him down with a hose pipe. So take him,
you would
and he
not.
loved
Stop.
it. He was like, this is the
I
greatest
think he's
experience
being
ever.
serious.
And then I'd be like, just don't tell Mom what we're doing. And then he'd always tell Mom. He'd always be like, Mommy, Trevor sprayed it to me with the hose pipe. Then I'm like, Jesus, kid, you're killing me here. He would love it. It was like a fun. And then I remember like one of the funniest things was like a
So
year or
weird.
something later, we're sitting together watching TV, and we're watching footage of police spraying people with
man.
protesters with water hoses. And then he looks at me, he's like, Trevor, did they do-doos? Then I'm like, no. So in my family, my two younger brothers are so from my mother's second marriage, and so I'm still the only person in my family who looks like this. So my mom is African woman, black Xhosa woman. My father is Swiss from Switzerland, so he was a white man. And so I look like this, and then my mom remarried.
I did not know his father was
brothers
Swiss.
don't look like me.
We saw
either,
that in something else.
right? And I remember what was really beautiful was my brothers. We always spoke about this stuff. So my parents, they were like, "Yeah, different dads. We get how this works." So my brother one day, I pick him up from school. Right? He's really young at the time. It was what, maybe like, I'm trying to think, it was 9, maybe 10 years old. And he gets in the car, and he's just deflated. He gets in the passenger seat, and he fastens his seatbelts. And I'm like, "What's going on, Isaac?" And he's like, "Hey, Trevor." He's like, "Oh, kids, man. I can't do this. Kids." So I go, "Kids? Tell me more." And then he's like, I just don't know what to do with kids, Trevor. You know, like today, one of my friends said, "Ooh, are we walking home?" Then I said, "No, my brother's picking me up." Then he said, "Who's your brother?" Then I said, "Trevor." Then now when we're walking, he sees you in the car. Then he says, "Who's that?" Then I said, "It's my brother." Then he says, "But how can your brother be white?" Then I said, "He's not white. He's not white, he's mixed." Then he said, "But you're not mixed, you don't look the same. How can your brother not look the same?" So now I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like go through this. So then I'm like, so what did you say to him? And he's like, Trevor, like I'd have to explain it the way kids understand. He said, I just said to him, I said, Zweli, you gotta understand, like people are like chocolates, okay? Like you can have like a white chocolate, and you can have a dark chocolate, and you can have a milk chocolate, but it's all Nestle, okay? Any questions?
I love that.
It's so sweet.
So cute.
Oh, kids these days.
How's Foofy? Wow, that's a deep cut. Man, you can't just ask me that like just random. You gotta be like, "Hey, Trevor, so I read in your book," and you can't just be like, "How's Foofy?" Because my mind went, "Who the hell, Foofy?" No, because Foofy died. So for those who don't, so I had a dog when I was growing up. Like one of the dogs we had, my mom was working at a pharmaceutical company, and her colleague came to work one day and was like, "Hey, my neighbor's dog impregnated my dog, so now I have all these puppies I don't want, and they're like this weird mix of like a bull terrier and a Maltese poodle. So do you want to take them?" And the mom was like, "All right, I'll take 2." And then my mom brought them home, and I'd never had a dog before, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. And so we raised them, and it was 2 beautiful dogs. They look completely different, but they were sisters. They were the best, Fufi and Panther. And my mom called the one Panther because she had a pink nose, so the Pink Panther. And then, and Fufi was like the dumbest, most beautiful dog ever. And Panther was the smartest, ugliest dog you've ever seen. And so, like I loved Fufi the most. She just like looked really vicious. And I used to think that Fufi was really stupid. And then one day what happened was, like at our house, somebody was trying to like come into the house, like a family friend, and they were trying to open the gate, and then they moved the gate, and then the gate fell, and then Panther ran away because they like sleep by the gate, and then Panther ran, but then Fufi didn't, and then the gate hit her, and then like it broke her spine. It was devastating. So then we went to the vet, and then like the vet was like, I can't help her, you know, we've got to put it down, put her out of her misery. And the vet was like, but this was amazing. How were you guys, like, how did you guys raise a deaf dog? And we were like, what? And he was like, we were like, what do you mean a deaf dog? And he was like, oh, like afterwards, like when I was just going through examining her while she's still like living, I realized that like she wasn't born with, I guess, a certain part of the cochlea or something. And we were like, wait, this dog was deaf the whole time?
Wow.
And we just genuinely, I'd literally just be like, Fufi, sit! Listen to me! Sit, Fufi! And I was like, you're so dumb!
That would be me!
And I never knew that the dog, and then we realized, what used to happen was, when we'd call the dogs, we'd be like, Fufi, Panther, and Fufi would never come, but Panther would come running sometimes, and then she'd like look at you, and then she'd run back, and then they would both come. And I always used to be like, Fufi's just dumb. And then I realized Panther was like, she didn't hear, and then she'd go back and fetch her, and then both of them would come. And then like now I went back and my was like, Fufi, Fufi, I miss you, Fufi. So that's how Fufi's doing. She's, yeah. What happened to Teddy? For my book? What's funny is randomly one day I was driving to a car dealership. I had bought an Audi, and I went to the car dealership because I needed them to help me with something. And then they said, we'll call our top mechanic. And just to give you a bit of a backstory, Teddy was my best friend in primary school, and him and I used to go shoplifting together. And then one day, like we were like busted shoplifting, and then we ran away, and then they caught Teddy, but then they didn't catch me. And then they had security footage of what happened, and they went to all the schools in the area looking for who was shoplifting with Teddy, and then they didn't know it was me because the security camera was black and white. It was like the old school black and white cameras, and so they were like, we're looking for a white kid, because on the camera, it just in black and white, the camera chose white. So then at the school, they asked me, they were like, Trevor, come in here. Like, you're friends with Teddy? I was like, uh-huh. And they're like, well, Teddy was caught shoplifting. I was like, uh-huh. They're like, there was someone with him. I was like, uh-huh. They're like, it was a white kid. Who was he? I was like, huh? And then they just never caught me. And then Teddy never snitched or anything. And he got expelled from the school. And then I thought like he went to jail or something. So, and I never knew where he ended up in life. 10 years later, maybe even more, I was, I had an Audi. Drove to an Audi dealership because they wanted to help me with something, and I pulled in and I said, can you help me? They said, oh, this is complicated, let's call our top technician mechanic. And then they called the guy.
Teddy.
They're like, Theo, come out. And then he came out, and then it was Teddy, and I was like, Teddy! 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 And it was,
No way.
So that's what happened to Teddy. All right, let's do this. I was and he was just like, what are you crying about? I was like, I'm so happy. It's like, dude, we're stealing chocolate bars. Why would you think I go to other you went to jail for life? It's funny, in South Africa we have a saying.
Stealing chocolate bars.
You must remember, because of so many of the struggle leaders in South Africa were either imprisoned or exiled, the movement in South Africa was held together in large part by women in the country. And so it's weird for me because I understand you travel the world, you understand that everywhere feminism is different and the idea of women is different. But I grew up in a world that was very matriarchal and where women were the most dangerous freedom fighters that existed. No, this is true. You read up on Winnie Mandela, like Nelson Mandela was an icon, but the police in the country were afraid of Winnie Mandela. You know, they were, and we had a phrase in South Africa that was, we still use it today, which was, "Watinta bafazi, watinta mbokoko," which means you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And that's what I grew up learning. It was kudos, man. It was fire. It was fire. And a lot of the time, my mom would strike me with a rock. And
He can't help himself.
I wonder how his mom feels about all these little digs. Little digs.
Oh, I'm sure she doesn't mind.
I mean,
she knows.
Clearly he loves her
She knows
very
the
much.
business.
Yes, but she sounds like quite a mighty fierce woman.
Absolutely, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
Sorry, not to cut you off. I just
No,
had to
you're good.
realize, maybe to back context, I actually read a few chapters of his book. I didn't finish. I borrowed it from somebody and the school started, so I gave it back to them. But, like, he shares the story in this book about how she would drag him to 3 different churches on Sunday. 3 different churches, and they were all around South Africa. So he said it was a whole day thing. And they'd get on the bus to go to one, and get on the bus to go to another one, and get on the bus to go to another one. And they were all 3 different, very, very different in, like, what they taught and the environment and whatnot. But he talks about, like, the bus and how, like, one time, like, she literally just threw him out of a bus and jumped with his little brother or not a bus, it was, like, a taxi driver. No, it was a bus. But it was, he's saying how she was, like, Salsa or whatever, but I guess there's, like, 2 different tribes, like a Zulu too or something like that. And they're, like, always against each other. And so these drivers were from the other tribe, and they were going to basically attack her because she had chosen to get a ride from a taxi driver because the bus was there. Anyway,
Wow.
She sounds like this fierce woman that would just, like, do anything to protect her kids.
Well, I mean, case in point, what he said there, right?
Yeah, it's rock.
That's awesome. That women are strong and are feared and are known as the best freedom fighters there. I think that's fantastic.
I'm just saying, how are your feelings towards women?
What?
How are your feelings towards women?
I love women. I respect. What are you talking about? I respect
I'm just giving you a
women.
hard time. I'm just giving you a hard
I
time.
mean, come on. I love women. You got to respect, and it's not just respecting women, respecting men. It's just respecting people, right?
Yes.
And understanding there are certain groups of people, whether it's minorities or genders or whatever, that have it more difficult than others, right? And so for me, I'm not always perfect at things, but I try to understand, like, where people are coming from and then, adhere according to that. Anyways, this was crazy because it was different snippets, right? And I loved each and every one of them. They were all super hilarious, but I love the idea that he just speaks to his audience. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, that seems so logical. Do the other talk show hosts do that kind of stuff? I don't know, but it seems like your audience is right there, and not just to create content for your YouTube channel. It's just like, let me tell you something about you. You're here. You decided to come and get a ticket to the Daily Show here. Let me just tell you about something and kind of like,
Connect with
because you want that audience to connect when you have your guests or you're doing your jokes or you're doing your stories of the day or whatever. So I absolutely love that. The brick thing, that was absolutely priceless. It made me think about when
That's
I was a
hilarious.
kid and my older brother, who's 20 months older than I am, something like that, and they were playing with bricks in the front yard of this house we were living in. I was, I don't know, 2 or 3. He was 4 or 5. And this kid, our neighbor kid, just threw the brick up in the air, and it landed right in the back of my brother's head. And I'll still remember to this day, like, I thought he was going to die. Like, it was just crazy. And he was okay. They had it stitched up or whatever, but that's crazy that they play bricks in a different way.
Yeah.
But, like, you're a kid, you think, oh, this is cool. Let's play with this. I remember being years later, one summer we decided to go out in the field several days in that summer and throw rocks at each other. Like, the stuff that you decide to do or you decide to play with, and it's the currency of what your friends are doing. Like, it makes it super, super cool. Right?
No, and you could see how kids would try to, like, hit them to see who would break first.
We did that with cars, with trucks.
Yeah. So that was
Bang,
funny.
bang.
His sweet little dog story. I mean,
Oh, man.
to
That
find
was
out
crushing.
that she was deaf the whole time, and that a sweet panther would go back and get her. Like, oh,
Right, the
that's
dog
love.
knew. The dog understood what was going on.
Yeah.
You would just feel horrible.
Oh my gosh, so horrible. So, because
What do you mean deaf?
right.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Well, especially if you're trying to train a dog, I could understand the frustration. I'd be like, why won't you just, like, sit? Like, I don't understand why. But yeah, if you don't realize it's deaf, because I've heard, like, they can be trained with signs, though, like signs or different things. But that would be hard. The cutest, I don't know if you've ever seen Down syndrome cats.
Mm-mm.
Oh, they are so sweet and cute looking.
When are cats not cute in these crazy videos that you see on Instagram or YouTube or whatever?
The man who doesn't like pets even sends them to me.
I'm not a pet person. I like animals. I love animals. I have nothing against animals. I'm definitely against animal cruelty. I just don't want a pet. We have 2 cats. My daughter wants some gerbils. We got a Taurus in the back. He's the easiest one. But I just, we have enough responsibility in life, right? Why do I want to take on more? And I also believe that if you're going to have a pet, you got to show love to that pet and some attention. I just don't feel like doing that. I got too much to do. So.
Well, good thing our cats get plenty of attention from the kids.
Good thing we have kids. Yeah. And they're my pets too. My kids are crying out loud. So this was fantastic. Thank you so much for your requests. Let us know which segment was your favorite. Let us know what you want to say about it. Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
Au revoir.